Welcome back to a special Sunday edition of The Explainer. So tonight, we're actually going to step away from the bright, noisy hustle of the standard week. Just picture it for a second. The sun goes down, that vibrant crimson sunset fading below the horizon, and it gives way to this deep, velvety indigo sky. Out comes a massive, glowing full moon. Now for us humans, right, this is when our world slows down. We turn off the lights, close our eyes, and just step away from the relentless pace of our daily lives. Naturally, we kind of just assume the entire natural world is drifting off to sleep right alongside us, packing it in for the night. But as you're going to see in this explainer, well, that assumption couldn't be further from the truth.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because while we're winding down, an entirely different shift is literally just clocking in. For an elite group of botanical engineers, the setting of the sun, it isn't an ending at all. It's the opening bell. In absolute darkness, where you'd probably expect total dormancy, tightly furled flower buds are actually starting to twitch. Petal by petal, they unfurl under pure moonlight, releasing these visible mists of fragrance right into the cold air. So while the rest of the world sleeps, a hidden midnight garden wakes up.
These are the undisputed rulers of the dark. We call this phenomenon nocturnal botanical engineering. These are plants that have essentially looked at the bright, super-crowded competition of daytime photosynthesis and just opted out entirely. Instead, they've abandoned the sun. They've evolved to literally weaponize the moonlight, and they build these incredibly high-tech, deeply specialized alliances with creatures of the night just to conquer the shadows. Let's actually look at a prime example of this extreme engineering.
Part 1. The Queen of the Night, scientifically known as Cereus oxypetalis.
1. That number right there represents one of the most intense, high-stakes deadlines in the entire natural world. Imagine, if you will, spending an entire year, 364 days of absorbing nutrients, hoarding water, and meticulously constructing this biological masterpiece, only to display it for exactly one single night. No way around it. That's the extreme survival strategy of the Night-Blooming Cereus. It opens its massive, intricate white petals over the span of just a few hours under the cover of darkness, and then it completely withers and dies before the first morning light even touches it. It gets one shot, one night. That's it.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how perfectly adapted this plant is to the total absence of light. Because, think about it, darkness renders bright colors completely useless. So these plants don't waste a single drop of energy creating reds or yellows or purples. There's just no point. Instead, their petals are engineered with these incredibly unique cellular structures that act exactly like natural mirrors. They reflect even the absolute faintest traces of ambient moonlight. So to the human eye, and more importantly to a nocturnal insect, these brilliant white flowers appear to literally glow from within. They act as a blazing beacon that's visible from miles away in the dark.
But, visual cues aren't really enough when you only have a few hours to secure the entire survival of your species. So to ensure they hit that one-night pollination target, the Queen of the Night pumps out what scientists call a chemical lighthouse. It's a fragrance so incredibly thick and potent that it can travel on the wind across entire forests. And it's perfectly designed to guide massive nocturnal hawk moths, which are kind of hovering around like biological drones in the pitch black, straight to the flower. They use this chemical lighthouse to navigate the darkness, effortlessly extending their long proboscis right into those glowing white petals.
Part 2. The Acoustic Hack, featuring Marcgravia evenia.
Let's step away from the moonlight for a second and move deep into the dense, pitch-black rainforests of Cuba. I want you to think about a biological puzzle with me. How do you communicate with a perfectly blind animal in absolute darkness? Visual beacons, like those glowing white petals we just talked about, they won't work here. A chemical lighthouse fragrance might get them close, sure, but it completely lacks pinpoint precision. If you're a hidden rainforest vine that relies entirely on blind, nectar-feeding bats for your survival, what do? Well, you evolve an adaptation that honestly sounds like science fiction. You literally hack sound itself.
And this brilliantly illustrates the physics of that hack. Consider what happens when a bat flies through the jungle canopy. It emits ultrasonic sonar clicks to navigate, right? Echolocation. Now, when those sound waves hit a standard flat plant leaf, the sound just scatters randomly into the void. To a bat's sonar, a regular leaf is just background noise. It's practically invisible. But then we have the Marcgravia vine. It's evolved this highly specific, distinct concave leaf shaped exactly like a miniature satellite dish. When the bat's sonar waves hit this dish leaf, it captures the sound and bounces back a perfectly focused, hyper-distinct, utterly clean echo straight back to the bat's ears.
These specialized structures are quite literally acoustic reflector shields. And what is so mind-blowing about this to me is that these specific dish-shaped leaves serve absolutely zero purpose for gathering sunlight. They are terrible at photosynthesis. Their entire evolutionary existence is designed for one single purpose: to scream in sonar. When that nectar-feeding bat flies past in the absolute pitch black, the leaf pings back this massive acoustic signature, telling the blind bat exactly, literally down to the millimeter, where the plant's hidden nectar reservoirs are located. It's a flawless high-tech biological beacon operating entirely on sound. How crazy is that?
Part 3. The Reversed Engine. Let's look at night shift metabolism. Let's bring the tempo down a bit and look at the actual physiology of how this whole thing is even possible. Operating a massive biological factory at night requires a complete reversal of standard plant mechanics. We all know standard plants, right? They soak up the sun, they do their heavy lifting during the day. But nocturnal plants completely flip the script. Step 1, during the day, they shut down. They tightly close up their biological pores to protect their precious moisture from evaporating in the harsh, baking heat of the sun. Step 2, they just wait. They bide their time until the sun sets and the cool, calm sanctuary of the night air rolls in. And finally, step 3, only in the safety of darkness do they open up their internal pipelines, trading the heat of the day for incredible water use efficiency under the stars. It's this silent, invisible feat of engineering running perfectly in the dark, maybe even right outside your window right now. I want to pause here for a little Sunday evening reflection. Just consider this. Survival doesn't always require competing in the brightest light, pushing through the crowded day, or fighting the loudest battles. It is such a profound reminder of the beautiful balance of nature. The natural world isn't always about who is the biggest, the boldest, or the loudest in the middle of the day. Sometimes the most brilliant, most highly evolved, and honestly most successful strategies are born in the quiet, reflective calm of the evening. It's about having the wisdom to wait for the exact right moment to bloom, long after the rest of the world has gone quiet.
But as much as we might love the peaceful calm of a Sunday night, the weekend always ends. What happens on Monday morning? Because tomorrow, the botanical world returns to its brutal structural realities. To survive, to aggressively expand, plants out there couldn't just rely on soft soil and cool night air forever. To truly conquer the globe, they had to figure out a way to break through ancient mountains and conquer solid granite. Which leaves us with a pretty provocative question. How exactly does a fragile green leaf dissolve solid stone?
In our next explainer, we're leaving the quiet midnight garden behind and diving headfirst into the aggressive, brutal world of the mountain melters. We are going to uncover these dark green leaves that literally well up with sticky, highly complex biological acids engineered to melt away rock. Seriously, it's going to completely change how you look at the roots in your own backyard. Until then, enjoy the quiet of the night, keep questioning the world around you, and I'll catch you next time.